Good afternoon, good afternoon. It's 5:35 on this Wednesday afternoon. I'm Chevon Campbell, and this is the cover story.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. How are you, Chevon?
Doing quite good, Sanjay. What have you been up to?
I've just been here watching all that is happening.
Yeah, it has been quite an exciting. Has it even been 24 hours yet? But that's about. It's been a quite the exciting 24 hours in politics over the last 2 days. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced that a by-election will be held in Northeast St. Anne on September 30, with nomination day set to September 11. It was announced on Tuesday that the embattled MP for Northeast St. Anne, that's Marsha Smith, had resigned from the office with immediate effect.
Government Senator and Cabinet Minister Samuda, who has been doing the political work for the JLP in the constituency, is set to be the JLP's candidate come nomination day. The Prime Minister says Mr. Samuda has already resigned from the Senate and as Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. He says Marsha Smith will be assigned new duties.
In the meantime, the Prime Minister has not committed to a firm timeline for by-elections in two other constituencies.
Northeast St. Anne is not singled out. As I have said, we are at a stage where we are now ready to do all the by-elections, and all of them will be done. It is just that this one is going to be done first, but all the by-elections will be done.
Can you give us a time frame as to when that will happen?
As they come due, they will be done. And I would say within months.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness, he was speaking with the media at Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing. By-elections are expected in South Trelawney and Northwest St. Andrew.
And on September 21 last year, Marissa Dalrymple Philibert resigned as MP for South Trelawney following a damning report published by the Integrity Commission. The report accused her of failing to disclose the purchase of a motor vehicle in her statutory declarations for the period 2015 to 2021. And in Northwest St. Andrew, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark is expected to vacate the seat at the end of October to take up a post at the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. Dwayne Smith is expected to be the JLP's standard bearer in that constituency.
Well, to discuss this further, we will be joined by the candidate or the presumptive candidate for Northeast St. Anne, that's Matthew Samuda, and after the break, I understand it, we'll also be joined by the PNP's General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell. So, good afternoon, Sir Samuda, how are you?
Good afternoon, Chevon. Good afternoon, Sanjay. Good afternoon to your listeners.
Good afternoon.
So it seems the by-election is on, and you are the presumptive candidate heading in. What is your reaction, and are you prepared for that contest?
So, firstly, I just want to thank the former and outgoing Member of Parliament for her work and her sacrifice. I think it's important to acknowledge that in a constituency of 43,000 people, it wouldn't be particularly easy. Over the last, I would say, 18 months, the Jamaica Labour Party has done significant political work in Northeast St. Anne. And on the political side, we are 100% ready for any contest, as the Prime Minister would have announced. The by-election, we are prepared politically. On a personal level, I'm excited of a new journey ahead. The opportunity to work with the people of Northeast St. Anne to realize their dreams and carry my own leg of the relay in this Project Jamaica for Northeast St. Anne, and work with them to help them realize their dreams, help to improve infrastructure. It's an exciting time for me personally, and I'm looking forward to the challenges ahead.
Mr. Samuda,
You're taking a
sorry, go ahead, Sanjay.
You're taking a constituency that has been converted into a JLP stronghold by Shahini Robinson, but there has been much discontent among the supporters from your party over the previous holder of the seat, Marsha Smith. Do you think you're able to get them to come out and support you on September 30?
The Jamaica Labour Party won all 4 of its polling divisions in the local government election and won cumulatively by just under 2,000 votes, despite all the issues we'd faced previously. That was on the back of the political work that I mentioned. We have a strong, mature political organization in the space. meaning you have a good executive, you have good councillors, you have good team members, and I would hope that I'm viewed as a good candidate as well. We will do the work, and we've been engaging our citizens, and we've been providing service where service is to be provided. We have been working with the people. There is legacy support, but there's also new support because of the work that we have done.
Mr. Samuda, calling it a contest on my part might have been a bit presumptive because, as I understand it, at this moment in time, the People's National Party's president said they will not be contesting any by-election, so you would essentially be going in more or less unchallenged, barring an independent candidate, and the PNP has labelled this quite the political maneuver on the part of the Prime Minister, announcing a by-election just 24 hours after the MP has resigned, essentially catapulting you into the House of Representatives. How do you respond to that?
The opposition has to do what they have to do, and I, won't comment on their actions. Election dates are the prerogative of the Prime Minister. He has exercised his right to call a by-election. I don't know that we can say there is a contest or isn't a contest until closure of the nomination process. What the JLP is doing and what I am doing is ensuring that our machinery is honed. We are ready for any contest, for this one, for the general, for the local after that, for the next general. We will operate in a state of readiness, and we're preparing ourselves for a contest. Should one not occur,
but are you
no issues.
But aren't you disappointed that your main rival, the opposition People's National Party, they have decided not to contest the election?
To be determined, and we can talk about that on Wednesday afternoon if they have nominated.
Mm-hmm. But let me also ask you. But let me also ask you: have there been any discussions with you about the possibility of taking on the finance ministry?
So at this stage, you'd have noted that I have resigned from the cabinet and I'm solely focused on North East St. Ann. Now, just as election dates are the prerogative of the Prime Minister, so too are cabinet positions. So even if such a conversation had occurred, which it hasn't, I would not be at liberty to discuss that.
But let us say, for example, you are successful.
I don't operate in
yeah, but should the Prime Minister offer you to serve as a Minister of Finance if you are successful, would you accept the position?
The Prime Minister of Jamaica is the best leader with a visionary outlook for Jamaica. Anywhere the Prime Minister asks me to serve in any capacity, I am prepared so to do. No such offer has been extended, and today we're talking about the future, the hopes, the dreams of the people of North East St. Ann.
Further along that path, Mr. Samuda, once this election is done, this by-election is done, would you be returning to the cabinet, or are you going to be focusing on that seat in North East St. Ann?
The constituency has 43,000 registered electors and is one of the wider geographic spaces. If you look at all of the constituency maps, as I said, I'm prepared to serve in any way the Prime Minister asks me, but I'm also relishing the challenge of helping to build North East St. Ann. So if that's purely up to the Prime Minister, I'll serve if asked, but for now I'm focused purely on North East St. Ann.
I want to come back to that since you're focusing on North East St. Ann, because a statement made by the People's National Party, and also many on social media have been saying this. There are other seats that there is a vacancy, no by-election. You're a member of the Jamaica Labour Party. Isn't this just the JLP using the political process to advance its own internal party prospects?
I don't see it that way. Ultimately, political parties make decisions that lead to electoral victory. That's how our democracy is structured. It's a bit of a ridiculous assertion, quite frankly. The Prime Minister of Jamaica can call by-elections at a time of his choosing. He's exercised that prerogative. He's reorganizing his government. He has said so. You'd have seen several changes take place over recent months, even some administrative. This is no different. We're in the process of reorganization, and this is just one of those steps.
But Southern Trelawney has been without a representative for almost a year, though, Mr. Samuda.
And you'd appreciate that I am not the representative there, nor am I a member of the Secretariat. So I would be.
But you're a member of the Jamaica Labour Party.
But I'm not a member of the Secretariat, who would be the only people that could comment on such.
Well, let me ask you, though. Shahini Robinson was a unique MP, and many persons in the constituency would speak about her and the way she went about doing her duties. Won't you have a very hard and tough path to follow to do some of the things that Shahini Robinson would have done? And how, in your way, you will define your leadership should you become the MP for that constituency?
The late, great Shahini Robinson is the most empathetic, warm person I've ever met in politics. And that mark that would have been made by her is not going to be erased by me or the next MP or the MP after that. She left a mark on this constituency that is hard to understand, probably have to be studied by anthropologists almost, because it's so significant. It's not going to be easy walking in her shoes. It's not. No one is going to have an easy time in that regard. What you have to do is be genuine, be honest, and work as hard as you can to help people realize their dreams. Because ultimately, in many ways, you're the conduit for the connectivity between the government and the people. And you just have to do the work as best as possible. Be genuine. What you can't do, you say so. What you can do, you say so, and you follow through. That's what Shahini did. But she did it every day, all day, every day, and she was always there for her people. We will strive to come as close to her as is possible. But it will not be easy. Shahini is a legend, and a legend for good reason.
Matthew Samuda, he is the presumptive candidate for the Jamaica Labour Party in the North East St. Anne by-election. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you, Chevon. Thank you, Sanjay, and thank you for your listeners.
And President of the People's National Party, Opposition Leader Mark Golding, says his party will not be contesting the by-election called by Prime Minister Andrew Holness for the North East St. Anne constituency. The Opposition Leader also says the PNP will not contest any parliamentary by-elections before the next general elections. According to Mr. Golding, in a statement today, the decision to call a by-election so close to an anticipated general election is a slap in the face to the electorate. Well, to discuss this further, we are joined by the PNP's General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell. Good afternoon, Dr. Campbell.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Good afternoon, Dr. Campbell.
So right out of the gate, Dr. Campbell, is this wise politically for the PNP essentially to say we are not contesting any by-elections called between now and the possibility of general elections coming next year?
Our focus is on getting ready for the general election. I think what is unwise is for government to force, or let me not say force, what is unwise is for government to cause a minister of government and a senator to resign to go and take up a seat. That person is already in the cabinet. They're already in the parliament. That person is resigned to go and take up a seat. And the member of parliament that has resigned, the prime minister is saying that he's going to appoint her somewhere else. Obviously, they have made some arrangement that he's rewarding her. And then for the very next day to call that by-election whilst leaving a seat that has been unrepresented for more than a year, still not having a date for their election. That clearly is political maneuvering and using the resources of the state for the benefit of the party. That is not a process that we want to be party to and complicit in. What we are doing is to get ready for the general election. If the Prime Minister thinks that we are afraid to contest, then he should call the general election and we'll meet him at the polls.
But wouldn't contesting the election, Dr. Campbell, be a good test for your party's machinery leading up to the general election?
No, we don't need that test of our machinery. We already checked our machinery in February. We are quite sure where our machinery is. We know what we need to tweak. We know what we need to get done. So we have a particular process to get our party ready that does not require us spending $25 million of taxpayers' money when people can hardly buy a pound of tomato or cabbage or sweet pepper, when people are admitted and are still on the floor in hospitals, and when schools have reopened and some students are in church hall because there's still no roof on their school. We don't think that is the best spend of the limited resources for a government that is trying to be frugal.
Mm-hmm. Let me put it another way then. Understanding the politics of it, Dr. Campbell, a series of by-election where the PNP is not contesting, don't you think that this may energize the base of the JLP while deflating the base of the members of the People's National Party?
The base of the JLP is not my concern. I am responsible for the energizing of the base of the PNP, and I don't need any assistance from the JLP to energize the base of the PNP.
Dr. Campbell, is this really more a concern that considering the nature of the seat or seats that are potentially going up for by-election, the PNP just feels it's not economically feasible to put a challenge up to something that they are almost guaranteed not to win?
We haven't gotten to that point yet because we haven't gotten past the part of saying that in the final year leading to an election, where elections in Jamaica are not announced in the months of June, July, and August, so you're at least at maximum 9 months away from a general election. By the end of this by-election, you are 8 months away maximum. The general election is going to be called shortly, right? We know that there are investigations that are taking place, that the reports will come shortly. We see what is taking place in the country with food prices, with all the other problems that are going on. The minister that the government said was the star in the class. If you're playing football, the person that they said was a danger man on the other side, the linesman just walk up and put up his number and tell him to come off the field because he's been transferred to the IMF. Why in that situation, why would we be scared of anything? We have a plan. We've always had a plan. I've said this from 3.5 years ago. We have a plan as to how we want to get to where we want to go. We've charted a course that is evidence-based, data-driven, and we do not believe that the Labour Party, in trying to rescue their failing fortunes, as the Prime Minister said, he needs to reshuffle and remake his thing to deliver, because clearly they're not delivering. In doing that, we do not think that that should come at the expense of the public that is already burdened and already finding it hard to survive. How does somebody on minimum wage earning $15,000 per week, how do they feed their family if a pound of tomato...
Let us go back a bit though, Dr. Campbell, because you said something that I want clarity on and we're running out of time. You indicated that reports will come shortly. How do you know that? Do you have sources inside the Integrity Commission advising you?
I do not have any sources more than you would have. I am simply using...
But how did you come to that conclusion then that reports will be coming shortly?
Well, they told me that Jesus soon come back. That's 2,000 years ago. So when I say reports will soon come, I didn't put a date on it, did I?
No, but you seem to be almost certain that this is going to happen between now and the next general election.
That Christ will return. I am certain that Christ will return.
Dr. Campbell, come on. You're saying shortly. Anyone would know what shortly means, Dr. Campbell.
I'm saying that those reports will come. That's what I'm saying.
Very well, Dr. Campbell.
Let me ask you one other one, Dr. Campbell, because let's look at the finances of it. Financing a by-election, and you would know, you're at this for a very long time, is a costly venture. Did the People's National Party decided to make a financial decision to save the money until the general election, and that is the reason why you're not contesting the by-election?
Oh, the money that should be saved is not what the PNP or the JLP is going to spend. The money that should be saved is the money that the state is going to spend.
That's fine, and we can talk to the government about that, Dr. Campbell. I'm asking you about your party. Talk to me about that one.
That is my interest, my brother, to look after the welfare of the Jamaican people.
Of course, but the particular question is asking about your party, so talk to me about that.
No, the resources that the party would expend, those are not resources that are coming from the people. The state resources are the taxpayers' money. That is what should not be wasted in keeping serial by-elections at $25 million per by-election to settle internal JLP business. That is unfair to a country where people are suffering. Only 18% of students passing 5 subjects to include math and English. People are hospitalized on chairs, and people can't buy food. How do you justify that?
Dr. Campbell, you seem to...
I hear you. You still haven't answered the question, though, Dr. Campbell.
I have answered. You don't like the answer that I've given.
No, man. I'm asking about, is it that your party made a financial decision to save the money until the general election? I hear you about the government, and that is something that we need to tackle the government on, but I'm asking about your party.
In the discussion, because our initial consideration was that this is unconscionable. It is orchestrated to create that vacancy. It is blatant hypocrisy because you have left the seat that is without a member of parliament for 1 year, and you've called a by-election for the one that is without a member of parliament less than 24 hours.
But Dr. Campbell, the Prime Minister has already suggested that those by-elections are coming.
I don't believe much of what the Prime Minister says. I wish you well in believing it.
Then let me ask you, Dr. Campbell, it's not as if the People's National Party are any strangers to strategically calling elections or by-elections. And then there's the matter of East Central St. Andrew. Hasn't Dr. Phillips been in the departure lounge for at least 2 years going on now? Why has he not moved from that position to allow somebody else to come in?
Because he does not want the state to have to spend money to call a by-election.
Oh?
Then he can wait until the general election. Similarly, Audley Shaw, Mike Henry, Carl Samuda, J.C. Ortiz, Badru Green, all of these persons. Remember, the Jamaica Labour Party did not orchestrate to get out one of the persons in the department only. They orchestrated to get out a young lady who is in her first term that they should have supported so she could survive in the seat. They used her and discarded
her. Dr. Campbell, are you still there?
I am here.
Very well. So, Dr. Campbell, if the People's National Party is not going to contest these by-elections, and let me put it another way, I think that is being avoided to ask you directly, is the PNP strapped for cash?
No, sir. The PNP is not strapped for cash. We have a conference coming up next week, Sunday, September 15th at the arena. I'm sure you will be there to see the people coming out in their hundreds of thousands, where we will outline some of the plans for future PNP administration. We'll have our candidates. We'll have a good vibes in the arena. We'll mobilize our supporters. We're not. You will see our campaign activities going forward. We're not strapped for cash. That is not a concern of ours at this point in time.
So
have you settled all?
Dr. Campbell?
Have you settled on all your candidates, Dr. Campbell, for the general election?
62 of the 63, and we're doing the interviews today for the other constituencies. So the candidates will.
What constituencies are those? Dr. Campbell?
Am I being heard? Yes.
Yes, I was asking what constituencies are those.
No. What would be that? The only one that is still the one that we're settling. The one that we're.
Oh, one. I didn't hear that. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Right. That's Northwest St. Andrew. Ironically.
So that would be the person running against not Dr. Nigel Clark when that by-election is called.
That's the person that will represent the PNP in the next general election in Northwest St. Andrew.
So, and you will not be contesting Dr. Clark's seat during a by-election?
I don't think the statement was ambiguous at all.
Very well. That is Dr. Dayton Campbell. He's the PNP's General Secretary. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.